All right, Genesis chapter 27 breaks into three parts, verses 1 to 29. Jacob steals the blessing. Verses 30 to 41, Esau becomes bitter. And then 42 to 46, Rebekah sends Jacob away. So verse 1, it came to pass that when Isaac was old, and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau, his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here am I. Now you have to do a little bit of work here, but hold your place, get chapter 35, verse 28. I don't have time to show you every verse that would allow us to count the time that is involved here, okay? But Isaac is obviously an older man. His eyes were dim, he's going blind or gone blind, and he thought he was about to die. Now, Genesis 35, verse 28, the days of Isaac were 180 years. He actually lived to be 180. So what you can do is start counting the time that is mentioned from chapter 35 backwards to chapter 37, and you'll find out that Isaac is approximately 137 years old in chapter 27. Right? So that's impressive in and of itself. He's 137, and he's just now losing his sight. He thinks he's about to die. But do you remember how old he was when his boys were born? He was 60. Remember, he started praying at 40, and his boys were born when he was 60. So do the math, 137 minus 60. His boys, who are twins, same age, are 77 years old in this passage. So, and I get it, atmosphere, diet, all that might have been a bit different then. People lived longer, obviously, but still, 77. By 77 years in, you ought to know a thing or two. And you're going to see Jacob and Esau both have issues. So do not think that sin is a young man's game. It touches all of us. Touches all of us. Verse 1, at the end, my son, he said, Behold, here am I. Verse 2, and he said, Behold now, I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field and take me some venison. So take me some venison. Often we use that referring to deer meat, right? But it can be any wild game. Venison fits all of that. Verse 4, and make me savory meat such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. So he admits, I don't know when I'm going to die, but it could be any day now. So I want to make sure I pass this blessing on to you before I die. Isaac, what are you doing, man? It's been a while, right? His boys are now, it's 77 years later. But remember, Rebekah prayed and said, why am I struggling so much with this pregnancy? Why do I feel these two boys kicking at each other so much? And the answer from God was there are two nations in your womb, and they're fighting already. And it's only going to get worse after they're born. They're going to keep fighting. And the elder shall serve the younger. Remember that? Yeah. Isaac knew that. But now he is, I don't know if he forgot it or if he is just intentionally rebelling against it, but he's trying to get that blessing put onto Esau, which would make Esau the chief, right? Make Esau the top, and the younger would serve the elder, as is normal. But that's not what God said would happen, and Isaac seems to, for whatever reason, whether intentionally or unintentionally, he's going against that. Verse 5, and Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. Now notice the wording there. Isn't Esau her son as well? Shouldn't it say Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau their son? But remember, Isaac loved Esau. Rebekah loved Jacob. So Isaac's trying to get his favorite son the blessing, and Rebekah's looking out for her interest. Let me get my baby boy the blessing. And it says in verse 5, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. Now here comes Rebekah. She's going to hatch her plan. Verse 6, and Rebekah spake unto Jacob, her son. That's my boy right there. Rebekah spake unto Jacob, her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Hey, Rebecca, that conversation wasn't for you. Now, I don't know, maybe Isaac's blind. So maybe he didn't realize Rebecca was in the room, or I don't know. Was she eavesdropping? Was she snooping? I don't know. Maybe she was in the room washing dishes or clothing or something, and maybe this conversation openly took place in front of her. But still, Rebecca, that conversation between, if you got issues with what Isaac said, go talk to Isaac about straightening out this blessing thing. But she's now going to work in a deceiving manner behind Isaac's back, behind Esau's back. You know what her intentions in this? She loves her baby boy. That's my boy. I like him. And it's often the case that a parent's misguided intentions, right? The misguided love. They love their kids. They want the best. And they end up doing things that are morally wrong and making some horrible choices because they love their kids. And it's strange how love does blind you in some ways, to where you are willing to do things you know you shouldn't do. But boy, I just love that guy. I love that kid. And I want to see things work out for him. Even though he's 77 and should be able to figure this out, but a mom's still a mom. It doesn't matter how old she is, right? So verse 7, bring me venison. Here's the plan. Bring me venison and make me savory meat. I'm sorry, she's quoting now what Isaac said. Bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, baby goats. And I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. So that the reason you would choose the kid of the goat is the meat would be softer, right? You don't have to tenderize it as long, and it tastes better. She knows this. She knows what kind of meat Isaac likes. She's been making it for years. I can take that goat meat and make it taste like the best boca you've ever had. Verse 10, and thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. So she knows, this is obviously lying. This is obviously deception, but she's justified it. But it's for my son. It's for a good cause. I love him. And the blessing should be his. Yes, it should be. That was the prophecy. But Rebecca, really? You think God needs your deception to bring about this fulfillment? God doesn't need that. Verse 11, and Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. Oh, he's smooth, all right. Oh, he's smooth. Yeah, that's not just the hair on his arm. He's smooth, all right. He's smooth. He's a smooth operator. Verse 12, my father peradventure, we would say maybe, my father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me and not a blessing. Well, Jacob's conscience appears to have bothered him right here. Do you see that? Wait a minute, Mom. That plan's not going to work. And furthermore, once I get caught, I'm going to have a curse put on me and not a blessing. So it kind of sounds as if Mom would have had a better plan, Jacob might have been a little more ready to go with it. But because the plan didn't make sense to him, he thought, okay, you can cook, Mom. I know you can make the meal right, but come on, I am nothing like Esau. There's no way Dad, as blind as he is going to feel me and know that something's up. I'm going to get caught. Now, I don't know. Maybe Jacob's conscience was in full effect here. Maybe he had no intention of going through with the plan, and he was afraid of the curse. But can I just put in a practical note here? Learn to take heed to your conscience. When you hear something and deep down in you feel that prick, and you go, ooh, something just doesn't feel right about this, back off, pray about it, think about it, ask, get counsel. Don't press forward until you are fully persuaded in your mind. That's a good thing to do. Right? Romans 14, let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. He that eateth is damned if he eats not of faith. Because whatsoever is not of faith is sin. So if you go in with some doubts and go, I'll ignore the doubts and just do it anyway. Ooh, man, you're not doing that thing of faith. You're not convinced that it's right. Pay attention to your conscience. God put that is the deepest level of protection that you have. Right? The Holy Spirit bears witness to your conscience. Did you know that? He works with it. When you get saved, He comes in and kind of blows the dust off of it. Says, maybe you haven't been using this much. Let's blow the dust off. Let's get this thing going again. Right? So even though it's the candle, it's a small bit of light, but a very powerful bit of light. Do not ignore that. Verse number 13. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Oh, Mom, come on. Mom, you're trying to soften the blow. You're trying to say, oh, but the consequences won't be that bad. Oh, Booty, don't worry. I'll pay for it. If something goes wrong, I'll pay. As soon as you do that to somebody else, in this case to your child, but as soon as you alleviate the consequences of sin from somebody else, you are now making it easier for them to sin. This is what the devil did. You remember Genesis 3. You'll not die. He's trying to soften the blow. Sin's not that bad. You'll not surely die. Come on. Mom, you don't take the curse. Number one, Mom, you can't take the curse. Jacob, you're going to be punished for your sin. Let's not pretend that you won't. Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice and go and fetch me them. So be a good boy. Go obey Mom. So don't worry. No punishment. Now, I'll take care of it. Go do what I say. She doesn't say, go think about it, go pray about it. 77 years old. Jacob, you should know better. But he doesn't. Verse 14, and he went. Well, wow, that didn't take much. His conscience, if it bothered him in verse 12, which it looks like it didn't bother him much. Because all Mom had to say was, don't. If all you're worried about, Jacob, is getting caught, well, then here's the deal I'll make. If you get caught, I'll pay for it. Oh, you'll pay for it? Okay, well then I'll go. So if his conscience bothered him, it wasn't much. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. This is like Halloween. Dressing the boy up in a costume, in a goat suit. It is, verse 16 rather. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. All down here, hair, on his hands, this, right? Upon his hands, not just his arms, his hands. This dude's hands were like a goat. That makes verse 11 much more real. Esau, my brother, is a hairy man. No, he's a very hairy man. He's a scary, very hairy man. I mean, wow. That dude like a goat. Verse 17, and she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. Mom has now prepared him to go and sin. Now, I know he's 77, or, thereabouts. But maybe we would think of this in a much younger scale, but how many parents do not raise their kids for godliness, but prepare them to go out and sin? By saying things like this, Booty, sissy, I'm not going to tell you what to believe, you just choose. Oh, you are preparing them for a wicked life. Booty, sissy, when you go to university, live it up, enjoy it, because once you get a job and a family, you won't be able to enjoy that university life anymore. We've actually had a student come to church, get her life right, and she was just on fire for the Lord. She went to visit home back in the Free State somewhere, and when she got there, she wouldn't go out at night. She just stayed at home reading her Bible, praying, just, studying books, just trying to be godly, enjoying time with her family, wasn't all studying. And her dad got angry at her and said, why aren't you going out and spending time with friends and hanging out in the Kayapleka? What's gotten into you? And actually rebuked her for not living the university life. Preparing them. Here's everything you need to just be a wicked person. Phew. Verse 18. And he came unto his father and said, my father. He said, here am I. Who art thou, my son? Right away, Isaac is starting to doubt. He's not sure who this is. Who are you? Because who is he expecting? Esau. But so it would have been very natural. Oh, hey, son, come in. But wait a minute, who are you? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I bet Jacob's heart just sunk through his shoes right there, because you know when you're lying. You know it. It just, boom. I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. Hurry up, Dad, eat so I can get to the good part. Verse 20, and Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord thy God hath brought it to me. So, verse 18, first doubt. This doesn't sound right. Verse 20, second doubt. How did you find that so quickly? Isaac's familiar with how long it takes to find something, catch it, kill it, clean it, cook it. He's like, wait a minute, the timeline doesn't add up. How did you find that so quickly? Well, that's second doubt. Guys, when the doubts start piling up, don't do it. Isaac, don't do it. Don't do it, Isaac. You're doubting. Don't go through with it. Too many doubts. How'd you do it? Now, Jacob made a big mistake, tactical mistake. He's a pretty crafty guy, but this was a mistake. Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. Oh, Jacob, that's not something Esau would say. You might smell like Esau and feel like Esau, and maybe mom can cook like Esau, but you're not talking like Esau. Esau doesn't talk about God bringing me the meat. That's just not the kind of guy he is. He's already married Hittite women and so forth. That's not him. So right about there, I bet Isaac's ears perked up, and he thought, the Lord God, what? Who is this? Who is this talking to me now? Verse 21, Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son. You see his doubts? He goes, wait a minute. Now, do you think every time Esau, the real Esau, walked in the room, Isaac said, come here, let me feel you to make sure? No, but this time, come here. Oh, Isaac, the doubts are piling up. Here's doubt number 3. I pray thee that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. Obviously, doubting. Verse 22, and Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. Actually, it's the hands of a baby goat, but it's the hands. Wow, very hairy, scary man. So Isaac is not able to, he knows something's wrong. Jacob's voice, Esau's hands, off he goes. Verse 23, and he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy. So rather than going by what he heard, he went by what he felt. Be careful when you go by your feelings. Be careful for that. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. So he figured, okay, I can feel the hair. Jacob just doesn't have this hair, so maybe I'm just mishearing the voice. Maybe Esau has a cold or whatever. So verse 24, he said, art thou my very son Esau? Doubt number 4. They're piling up. Tell me the truth. Just tell me. Listen, something's bugging Isaac. He knows, okay, I felt, but I hear that, but I felt it, but I hear that. Okay, listen, whoever you are, just tell me. Are you really Esau? Jacob's heart must have hit the floor again. I am. He's doubling down on this. He's all in now. No, I am. Verse 25, and he said, bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison. He didn't say, I'll eat of your venison. I'll eat of my son's, whichever one you are. I'll eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now, and kiss me, my son. You know why? Here comes another doubt. He wants a closer, I would say look, but he's blind. He come a little closer so I can get the real you. Verse 27, and he came near and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment. So while Jacob is kissing him as a father would his son, right? He's checking him out. Because something doesn't add up in this story. Guys, if it doesn't add up, keep asking questions. Don't act while there's doubts. Isaac, you're doing okay investigating, but man, you're getting dangerously close to making a big mistake. He came near and kissed him. He smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. So you can almost see Isaac leaning in. Ah, yeah, that has to be Esau. Boy, that just smells like a man. He's been out there hunting and sweating, and that's Esau. That's my boy right there. I mean, you see, he smelled, he felt, he tasted. He can't see. His hearing, that was 1 against, but 3-4. 1 against the idea that it's Esau, 3-4 that it is Esau. So 3 beats 1. All right, I'm going to bless him. Ah, but Isaac, you know you got some doubts here, man. You know. So verse 28, guys, if I can just say, be real careful about trusting your senses. This is your flesh. This is sensual. James 3:15. This is the wisdom of the world. It is sensual. It is earthly. It is devilish. That's the wisdom of the world. That's how the world thinks through things. Let me just trust the senses of my flesh, right? The 5 senses. 3 out of the 5, right? And really 3 out of the 4 that were working. Told him, this is Esau. Oh boy, your flesh often gets it wrong. Verse 28, therefore, now here comes the blessing. Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of corn and wine, so blessing all the crops. Let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren. Now all of this ties into that Abrahamic blessing, mind you. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Isaac, you know, the wording of that is too familiar. If you go back and look at what God told Abraham and what God told Isaac, it doesn't ring like this. But what God told Rebekah about the elder serving the younger and that the elder would bow down and that's the wording. Isaac, it really looks like Isaac knew what he was doing. He was taking what should have been Jacob's and trying to give it to who he thought was Esau. So he says, let the people serve thee, nations bow down to thee, be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. Now you're back to Genesis 12. That's the original wording that was given to Abram back then. Now, the question does come up here. This Abrahamic blessing is conferred onto Jacob, thought it was Esau, and in so doing, the prophecy is fulfilled, right? What God said would happen has happened. The elder is going to serve the younger. The younger just got the blessing. So then people say, but would God actually use deception and bless deception as a means of fulfilling the prophecy? And the answer to that would be no. But that's why I mentioned last week when we went through this passage, when God looks at this and says, this is what's going to happen, it's not that God has scripted it and said, okay, now I'm going to use these deceptive means to bring about my eternal decree. You're reading the thing from the wrong angle. God knows how it's going to turn out. It's not that God made it happen. God knew what would happen, and God got it right. So despite man's best intentions, right, you can't overthrow what God has seen is going to happen. This doesn't mean that God scripted it this way, and that God made Rebekah lie and made Jacob go through with this. He just knew this is the kind of guy Jacob would be. He knew what choices, free will choices, Jacob would make. So God got the prophecy right. Verse 30, and it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. Wow, the timing is just uncanny. One boy's slipping out the back, here comes the next boy in. You know, whenever you've made a horrible mistake, it often hits you. Right after, I remember one time in Cape Town, Christina and I were there on a vacation, and some salesman got me hooked up on one of these packages. You know, if you sign up now, then you can have this timeshare. And man, it sounded great. We're on the first vacation we've had in South Africa. First time in Cape Town. I thought, yeah, man, this sounds great. I want a timeshare. That sounds grown up. I want one of those. So I signed the document. As soon as the last stroke of the pen went off the page, I thought, oh, what have you done? Mike, you are a ding-dong. What are you going to do with a timeshare? You have no time for this. You have no time to share with anybody. What are you doing? And I didn't sleep much that night. I maybe got an hour's sleep because I knew the next day I'm going to have to go back there and try to undo this. And thank God, everything worked out fine. They let me out of the document. But I knew as soon as I'd done it, oh man, what have I done? I shouldn't have done this. I didn't take time to pray about it. I was on a vacation high and didn't think. And that's just what's happening to Isaac now. As soon as he's made this mistake, he thinks, oh, good, I blessed the boy I wanted, and I've got this great meal in me, and all is well. And, ooh, man, everything's about to break loose. Verse 31, and he also had made savory meat, this is Esau, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac, his father, said unto him, do you know how Isaac's heart must have felt when he heard that? He's thinking, what? What? Savior? Verse 32, and Isaac, his father, said unto him, who art thou? Vish yea. What do you mean, eat your venison? I just ate your venison. Is this deja vu? What is this? Who art thou? He said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. I bet Esau was thoroughly confused. What are you asking me this for, Paul? I was just here this morning. You know who I am. Verse 33, and Isaac trembled very exceedingly. He trembled, not exceedingly, very exceedingly. The weight of what he had just done, it hit right then. Because he knew, here I was ignoring, whether intentionally or unintentionally, either way, the weight of that former prophecy that was given 77 years ago about the boys, it just hit him. He went, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Everything God said about these boys just came to pass, and I was duped. Oh my goodness. Now, like I said, if he was trying to do that intentionally, he must have felt incredibly bad at this point. But even unintentionally, he must have felt bad to go, oh my soul, I just forgot all about that prophecy and went about just trying to get a good meal. It kind of sounds like he was intentionally doing it, to be honest, because of the wording and everything. But either way, verse 33, Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who? Now, this isn't really a doubt. With Jacob, he was asking, who are you? Come here, let me smell. He's not going to do that again. He's asking who because he is so shocked that he got it wrong. Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me, and I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him? Yea, and he shall be blessed. It just hit him. That blessing he just gave Jacob fulfilled the prophecy. Oh, he will be blessed. Not because Isaac is so great at blessing people, but because now that decree of God, oh, it's going to happen. I don't care what you try to do to overthrow it, it's going to happen. So he's definitely going to be blessed. Isaac knows at this point, it doesn't matter that Jacob deceived him into it. Doesn't matter. The thing happened the way God said it would. There's no way out of this, and he knows it. Verse 34, and when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, O my father. He and his pa, they had this plan worked out. I mean, Esau's probably skipping, this 77-year-old man skipping through the fields. I'm going to get the blessing. This whole time, I thought I'd be serving my brother. He's going to serve me. I win. You know, one of those kind of moments. And he's just skipping through the fields. And now he gets in it and goes, oh my goodness. That great plan we had, gone. Listen, as soon as you start making plans that go against the revealed will of God, and God has revealed much of his will in his word, as soon as you start making plans that go against it, expect to end up with an exceeding great bitter cry somewhere in your life where you just break down going, what have I done? What have I done? I tried to live a life contrary to God, and it may not catch you in this life, but eventually, even if it's at the judgment, a great and exceeding bitter cry. Verse 35, and he said, thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. Well, Isaac, I don't know. maybe Isaac doesn't know the whole story, and he probably doesn't. He probably doesn't know that Esau sold his birthright. Esau didn't deserve the blessing. He sold it. So this does not justify Jacob's actions, right? It doesn't justify deceiving and all of that. You could make the argument that if Jacob hadn't deceived his way into the blessing, God would have got this blessing to him some other way, right? I mean, we can assume that. But either way, just because Esau sold the birthright doesn't mean Jacob could get away with what he's doing or should have done it. Doesn't justify it. But Esau, you don't deserve that blessing. You gave that up for a bowl of beans. So why are you crying? Don't get angry at Jacob. This isn't Jacob's fault. This was your fault when you bought it when you sold it for a bowl of beans. It was you. Thy brother came with subtlety and hath taken away thy blessing. Well, Esau gave it away. Verse 36, and he said, is not he rightly named Jacob? Because the name, the meaning of it. For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He's cheated me. He deceived me, right? Supplant. He had some under the table plan. For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. Oh, Esau, cry me a river, man. Come on. He hath taken it away. Look at this. He supplanted me 2 times. He didn't deceive you 2 times. The first time he didn't deceive you. Jacob said, I want your birthright, and I'll give you the beans. No deception. Esau, own up to it. You are a carnal man. You had no desire for spiritual things. You had no appreciation for anything spiritual. It wasn't important to you. The beans. So just own up to it. But now he's blaming somebody else for his lack of spirituality. Oh, the pastor made it difficult. And these other people, my boss keeps asking me this. And you can blame everybody you want. But it's you. Esau, it's you. He supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. Oh, no, he didn't. You sold it. And behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. Well, granted, yes, Jacob was wrong there. But it's kind of what you deserved. So, at the end of verse 36, he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? Esau, this strong 77-year-old hunter, don't you got one blessing for me? He's down to that. No, I'm serious. You can see, he's great and exceeding bitter cry, right? I mean, he's reduced to a blubbering mess. Verse 37, and Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do now unto thee, my son? What do you want me to do? This is what I've given him, and it's going to happen. How can I help you now? This is your lot in life. Esau, you made this bed. You lie in it. Guys, be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. If you despise spiritual things, listen, the verse I just quoted, Galatians 6, verse 7. You know what the next verse says? If you sow to the flesh, you'll of the flesh reap corruption. And that's what Esau is doing. What do you expect? You live a life, year after year, decade after decade, of carnal living. This is how it's going to end up. So verse 38, Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? He's really losing it. Bless me, even me also, O my father. Look at it. And Esau lifted up his voice and went, oh, God, please, Father, Daddy, please, Daddy. My 137-year-old daddy. It's sad. It really is. And I'm not going to turn you to it, but your attendance code for this evening, Hebrews 12, verse 17. This is, the writer of Hebrews quotes this part of the Bible. We looked at it recently, where he lifted up his voice and wept. Verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. So, Esau, you'll do all right when it comes to farming. Now, Isaac is pretty much just telling him what's going to happen. This really isn't much of a blessing. He's just saying this is what you can expect. Verse 40, and by thy sword shalt thou live. All right, now what if I told you that? What if I said for the rest of your life, you're going to have constant battles? all you're going to do is fight and fight and fight. You're going to be attacked or you will attack. That's your existence. I don't know if I want to live that life. That's his destiny. By thy sword shalt thou live and shalt serve thy brother, which is true. When you read further on in the Old Testament, the Edomites ended up serving the Jews many times. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And this is also true, that there were just a very few occasions where the Edomites broke free, broke out from underneath the Jews' dominion, and not necessarily ruled over them, but broke away from them and said, now we're on our own now. 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 20 is an occasion where it happened. And there's a couple other times. But other than that, they were just stuck. They were kind of in the same region, the south and southeast of the Jews. So other than those couple of breaks that they got, that was their destiny for hundreds of years. Verse 41, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. So there's a lot of envy in that. But Esau really, okay, I can understand him being upset with Jacob, but Esau's not taking any of the blame. So he says, well, the way to fix this, right? Hatred in your heart leads to the intent for murder. You'll see it here. Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Well, actually, not really. He had 43 more years, but then will I slay my brother Jacob. As soon as dad dies, I'm going to take that boy out. I'll overthrow all of this prophecy stuff. I'll break that dominion right away. Verse 42, and these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob her younger son. Here comes that meddling mother. Well, I got my boy into a mess now. Okay, he got the blessing, but now he's about to die. Now, what did Rebekah say? Upon me be thy curse. So she's probably thinking, okay, well, I better fix this. Oh, man, you're in deep now, Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob her younger son and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. So that's how Esau would put himself to sleep at night, is plotting out, how can I kill my brother? Oh, that much bitterness in your heart. That's a brutal life to live. Verse 43, now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Well, that's what got him into this mess, Mom. Arise, flee thou to Laban my brother to Haran, and tarry with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget, oh, this is rich right here, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Oh, Rebekah. Really? You're not going to take any of the blame? You said, upon me be thy curse, and now you're saying, Jacob, you run. How about, Rebekah, you stand up to what you did and say, listen, Isaac, that was me. Esau, that wasn't your brother, that was my idea. You could fix the relationship, potentially, between Jacob and Esau, Mom, if you would step up and admit it. But she won't. Send the boy away, rather, thinking to fix it her way. She says in the middle of verse 45, then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? Right, one day. Now, a lot of commentators, when they get to this part, they'll say, well, if Jacob dies, right, she's deprived of one boy, then the avenger of blood, who was like the executioner, would come and have to kill Esau for committing murder. So both of them would die in one day. All right, couple problems with that. Okay, Jacob, he would be dead, hypothetically. But who's to say the avenger of blood would catch Esau that same day? Rarely do you find the murderer the same day, right? And where is the avenger of blood? That's something you read about later in the Bible. Now, granted, many societies had that, but there's nothing that would make us think that was a thing in this part of the world at that time. So I think rather to understand it like this, it's not that Jacob would die and then Esau would die also in one day, but rather this, Jacob would die, and as soon as he dies, Esau, right, the truth would come out. And Esau, once he does that, would never be able to face his mother. He could never go home and say, Mom, I killed your other son. He couldn't. And if she were to go to him and say, listen, you've killed your brother, but you killed the wrong person. I was actually the culprit. I was the mastermind. Esau would never talk to her again. So she knew, I'm going to lose you both. If that murder happens, Esau's, you have to write him off. So she says, you know what she's doing? Jacob, you flee so that I can have both boys. So selfish. So selfish. Verse 46, and Rebekah said to Isaac, now she turns to her husband. Oh boy, she's laying it on thick. I am weary of my life. Oh, Isaac, I'm so overwhelmed. Oh, I have such a hard life. Because of the daughters of Heth. Oh, really? It's the Hittites' fault, is it? Is it? You conniving little meddling weasel, really? Because of the daughters of Heth, if Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, those are the Hittites, such as these which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me? My boy marries the wrong girl. Now, Esau had married a couple of Hittites. Remember that? Yeah. So now she's pulling on Isaac's heartstrings because it says in chapter, 25, I believe, or 26, in 26, Isaac didn't like the Hittite women either. Rebekah didn't like him, neither did Isaac. So Rebekah knows what to say to Isaac to kind of pull those heartstrings to say, now, remember, Esau married those Hittites, and we don't like them. So we got to send Jacob away to protect him, because what good would our life do if we had more Hittites in the middle? We can't have them. You wonder where Jacob got it from. There it is. Because they're hanging out in the tent all day. They're hanging out in the tent all day. And it rubbed off on him. It rubbed off on him. Chapter 28, let's get as far as we can in this chapter. Great chapter, verses 1 to 5. Jacob he's blessed and then departs. Yeah. In verses 6 to 9, Esau takes more wives. In verses 10 to 22, Jacob finds God at Bethel, which is where you're going to find him. Verse 1, and Isaac called Jacob and blessed him. So Isaac, he just took his wife's word for it and said, okay, honey, I'll do what you say. He didn't think about it, pray about it, but off he goes. Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. Now, we've already been introduced to him in chapter 24, and we'll see much more of him in the chapters to come. Verse 3, and God Almighty bless thee. So here comes this very official blessing, where Isaac is conferring onto Jacob this Abrahamic blessing. And it is repetitive, because he's already blessed him in the previous chapter. But now, it's almost as if Isaac is saying, this thing, I'm doubling up on it, because I am sure that it's coming to pass. And now that I know who you really are, I'm going to say it again. Because I thought it was Esau, but now I just want to know, it's you, Jacob, I'm saying it to you. Verse 3, God Almighty bless thee, make thee fruitful, multiply thee, that thou mayest be a multitude of people, and give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which God gave unto Abraham. So the full blessing is there, with the land and the multitude of children and God's hand on you. All of that is in there. Verse 5, and Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Padan Aram unto Laban, son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother. Verse 6, we switch now the focus to Esau for a few minutes. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take him a wife from thence, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. So Esau is eavesdropping, or recorded it, I don't know. He heard this interaction between Dad and Jacob, and he says, he's sending him away. So there goes all of Esau's plans for killing him. So how can now he's got all this built up anger and wrath and bitterness. He was going to take it out on Jacob and make himself feel better, so he thought. Now he can't do that. So now he's got this pent up bitterness. What do you do with it? He says, well, who can I lash out at? Well, I know that my mom and dad don't like Hittite women. They don't want little baby brother to marry a Canaanite. So what can I do to get back at everybody? Verse 7. And that Jacob obeyed his father and mother and was gone to Padan Aram. Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father, then went Esau unto Ishmael, and took unto the wives which he had, Malahath, and the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife. So he goes and gets him another heathen woman. Not of the right stock, not of the right people. He knew Dad doesn't like this kind of crowd, so I'll go get me another one of them, just to kind of rub it in. He didn't need another wife. He did it just to lash out. You know, when you study the life of Esau, right? Now, I don't know too many people that do, but it's just one bad decision after another. One bad decision after. We'll talk more about Esau in the chapters to come, but he's just lashing out of bitterness. In verse 10, and Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. So you have the idea of the map here. He was here-ish, right? And now he's going up. Haran is up in this area. He's going to stop right here in a place called Bethel. All right? That's where we pick it up. Verse 11, and he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows and laid down in that place to sleep. Now, stone for a pillow. Right? There he is. You got to think that Jacob he's laying there going, what have I done? I cheated my way into this blessing. Do I really want this blessing now? I mean, as Isaac conferred it on him again, I bet he probably listened to it and went, I don't deserve this. God Almighty bless thee, keep thee, multiply thee. And he's sitting there thinking, I don't deserve that. And now he's in the middle of nowhere, going to a place he's never been. He's thinking, what have I done to my life? I have really made a mess. 77 rocks for pillows. Life's pretty bad. You can't even enjoy the blessings of God. You can't. If you don't get them honest, you don't enjoy them. Verse 12, and he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. Later on, when you get to John's Gospel, chapter 1, Jesus, he refers to himself as this ladder. You'll see the Son of Man with angels ascending and descending on him. So the ladder that connects heaven to earth and earth to heaven is Jesus. But Jacob doesn't see that clearly because he's in the Old Testament and he's looking through the glass darkly and all of that. So he doesn't see the full picture. We do, thank God. But you know what this tells us? He's dreaming, here's this ladder. You know what God's trying to tell him? Heaven is very busy in earth's affairs. And when you are in this dark moment and you've made a mess and you're running, God's still helping. God is still helping. The ladder goes all the way down right to where you're at, and there's angels busy going up and down. It doesn't say they're laying back on the ladder. They're ascending and descending. They're moving. There's movement. Heaven's deploying angels, and when some, I don't know if they get tired, but they go back up and then come back down. You know, it says get a fresh batch in. Verse 13, and behold, the Lord stood above it and said, now look at this. This means God kind of, pictured in your mind, he's dreaming this, but God kind of steps out to the edge, right where the ladder reaches into heaven, and God kind of steps out to the edge and begins to speak. This means God got off his throne, came stood over that ladder, just to deliver a message to a deceiving, lying, supplanting, failed man. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. So this tells me that Jacob was probably doubting what Isaac had told him. Yeah, Dad put that blessing on me, but I don't think I'm going to get it. God had to step out and go, no, I know you don't deserve it, but I am going to give it to you. You don't deserve these precious promises, but I'm going to give them to you. Verse 14, and thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Now he's getting the full thing, but from God himself, the full blessing. Verse 15, and behold, oh man, I am with thee. He doesn't deserve the land grant. He doesn't deserve to have his seed multiplied. But what he really didn't deserve is this. God to say, Jacob, I know you're running. I know you're scared. You're an older man. You're starting a brand new life. Your life has been turned upside down. You thought you were getting in on a blessing. Jacob, Jacob, I'm not going to leave you. I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you, so that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear what man shall do unto me. Behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, because he was scared, and will bring thee again into this land. So Jacob, don't worry. I got a plan that will bring you full circle. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. What a promise, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. I'm not going to leave you until I'm done working on you. What a promise. Now that's enough to wake you up out of your sleep. Verse 16, I've had those dreams. I've had a few dreams where the rapture happened. And when it really got good and I was just about to get to heaven, I woke up. I'm like, yo, just calm down. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. You're almost there. Go back to sleep. It got too good. Verse 16, and Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. My goodness. You know what? It's wonderful, the few moments in your life when you realize it. You go, whoa, wait a minute. God's here. Wait a minute. The Holy Spirit is right here alongside me. He's in me. When you realize that and it gets real, those moments are precious. But now just think for just a quick moment how many times God was there and you completely missed it, and to this day you do not even recognize that he was right there next to you going, hey, I'm standing up here above the ladder trying to tell you something really special. Hey, are you listening? Hey, we didn't even get it. For whatever reason, we didn't even get it. You know what I take away from verse 16? Pay attention to God's presence. Look for it. Look for it. You'll find it if you look for it. You will. Verse 17, and he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? Dreadful in the sense, now that the word dreadful is used in a reverential way. I mean, we use it slightly differently today, but how dreadful is this place? In other words, how incredibly important it is that I recognize this place as special. This place is crucial. It's critical. If I don't get this place right, I am missing out on life's greatest blessing. How dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. This is right where I get direct access to him. This is the house of God. Well, obviously, that's where you're going to find God, is at his house. Verse 18, and Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it, which was, setting up a pillar, something to mark the occasion. Very common. Even to this day, people still do that. I think I told you guys, I set one up on the other side of the plot here, little stone. I wrote on it and, signed it and prayed over it and all that stuff. You just mark the moment. And that's what he's doing. So what was this sadness, this sorrow, laying his head on the stone, he probably went to sleep going, God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What have I done? God, what have I done? He takes that same stone of the pillow and turns it into a pillar and says, well, God's going to take my mistake and make something good out of it. That's what he's doing. Verse 19, and he called the name of that place Bethel. Beth is the prefix that means the house. Elohim, that's the word for God. So the house of God. He renamed the place. And we do that often. This is how we develop nicknames, by the way. We give somebody a nickname because they did something of whatever import, whether it was really stupid, really funny, really serious, but they get a nickname from it. And here it is. The place gets a new name so that this is what this place is known to me for. So he names it Bethel. But the name of that city was called Luz at the first, because there were probably people in that town that Why name it Bethel? To them, that name would make no sense. So they would still call it Luz. In South Africa, we deal with this. What's the name of the street in the middle of town? Well, some people remember it the old way, some the new way. I mean, there's two legitimate ways to refer to those streets. Cities do that as well in South Africa. You get a new name. And that's just part of it. People do that based on what it means to them. Luz, by the way, is the word for light or light-bearing. It's the same prefix as Lucifer, right? Lucifer, that light bearer, the angel of light. Verse 20, and Jacob vowed a vow, saying, now be careful with this. People will say that he's praying here. I'm not sure of that. If he is, it's not direct, which is interesting because Jacob, as I fully understand it, doesn't pray until much later. I'm sure he probably prayed at some point, but it's not recorded in Scripture. And this, I don't think, qualifies as a full-on prayer. But he vows a vow, saying, now look at the vow. If God, okay, now you got a little bit of your grandpa in you. Here comes Abraham with his negotiating. God, if you find 5, well, he's going to do one of those. If God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, Jacob, dude, he just said he's going to keep you in your ways. He said he'll go with you. But he's saying, well, if God actually does it. Jacob, come on, man. Verse 21, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. Oh, man. Now that statement ought to alarm us a little bit. You know what that means? The Lord isn't his God. Right? Because he says, well, if God does all this other stuff and actually does what he said he would do to me, then he'll be my God. Oh, you're setting the terms now? Is that how it works? God, listen, I'll let you be my God if you do all this other stuff first. Whew, man, this is why when you get to the end of Jacob's life, towards the end, he says, few and evil have been my days. Because he's always trying to be tricky and work his way into a deal, even with God. But we do the same thing. We may not verbalize it like this. We may not be so bold as to say it and put it in writing or something, but we do these kind of things. Well, if God will answer this prayer, then I'll get serious about it. You know, we do these things out of desperation. God, if you just do this, then I'll do anything. Yeah, negotiating. How about just say, God, whether you fix it or not, you're my God. Because you're right, you're true, you're on it, right? Just go there. But anyway, he makes this vow, this deal. Verse 22, he continues, and this stone, which I have set for a pillar, shall be God's house. Right? So then I'll make it official. I'll promote it as God's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. I'll start tithing. This was the depth of his commitment, which, listen, this is before the law. There's no law about tithing at this point. But tithing is obviously a thing amongst multiple cultures. Melchizedek received tithes, so it's a thing. But if you really want to show what you're serious about, you put your money into it. You invest in it. And it's one of the ways, right? I showed you this recently in church. Deuteronomy 14, God said tithe so that you learn to fear the Lord your God. And it goes all the way back to their great-great-granddaddy Jacob saying, hey, as soon as I start to take you seriously, I'll start tithing. So you can see when somebody starts to take the Lord seriously, they say, listen, you are more important than my money. And I'll put that 10th into you. That's not a problem. So that was all part of the commitment. But as I say, this is a vow that he at best said to God, right? Like towards him. But even he addresses God in the third person, if God. So it's almost as if he's making this commitment within himself. If God does this, then I'll do that for God. So if he were to actually talk to God, who God directly addressed him in the dream, why not then address him back and say, all right, God, because of what you said, this is what I'm going to do. But he didn't. All right, we went a few minutes over. Sorry, I wanted to finish the chapter. Any questions on any of that? Yes, ma'am.
I saw something earlier, but by the end of the chapter, it was actually kind of answered. And it stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 20 in Genesis 27, where he says, and he said, you call the Lord thy God. So he doesn't say it's his God, it says it's
Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. Interesting. That's interesting. I've never noticed that. Yeah, we can't go so far as to say that proves that, just that statement alone proves that it wasn't Jacob's God, or that, the Lord wasn't Jacob's God. But when we couple it together with the verse we just read, yeah, you kind of read into that. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Right, anything else?
Just a remark, referring to the nudging of the Holy Spirit. I think the saddest moments in my life, or the saddest occurrences, if I look back on my Christian life, were those times where I did not carefully pay attention to the voice of the Lord.
Mm.
It's a very dangerous thing
Mm.
to ignore that.
Yeah, guys, the Bible says the spirit of man is the candle of the Lord. God put something in us. It's that conscience, right? One of the functions of our spirit is our conscience. When God breathed into us, he put a little bit of himself in you. And that's why you just innately know some things are right and wrong. And to ignore that is to ignore that little part of God. And it's, yeah, it is very dangerous to ignore it. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. That's it. Exactly. Tuso?
At the time when Jacob stole Esau's blessings, Isaac still had servants from his father. Did he still have those servants that his dad had? Or
I'm missing something there. What's he asking?
during the time when Esau and Jacob stole the blessings,
Yes.
those servants that Abraham had along his story, all those servants,
Okay.
did Isaac still have them? And if he had them, why didn't he think like it was one of his servants trying to steal the blessings?
Ooh, Tuso, you're losing me in that. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what you're asking there. We don't know anything about the servants, so I really can't answer that question very much. I'm not quite sure if you're asking something, but find me afterwards if you want to know. Maybe I'll understand it better. All right, guys, let's go ahead and pray, and we'll head to the house. Cabello, do you mind closing us in prayer tonight?